Next question, Jasmine, you're ready.
Starting with Mr. Zeitz, what qualifications do you believe a person needs to have in order to start and lead a business?
I would say that probably two of the most important things are to have passion.
Good morning, everybody. It's Billionaire. Tonight I'm sharing a video, an interview of 5 exceptional individuals who are asked multiple questions. They provide extremely insightful answers, and I felt the responsibility, the obligation to share it with you all. I hope you enjoy this video, and I look forward to sharing a few more of those with you.
Give us a little bit of what you do.
Sure. Hello? All right, better. Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Rob Finizio. I am the CEO and co-founder of a company called Therapeutics MD. We're actually located right across the street. Sounds like we should have moved here. Sounds like a lot going on. But we are a women's health pharmaceutical company. So I started it after I sold my last company back in 2008. And I started it with a neighbor of mine who, kind of funny, was delivered my son and my daughter. He happened to move in next door to me. Total coincidence. We became good friends. Public in 2012, raised over $1 billion to get 3 drugs approved in 2018, 2 menopausal drugs and 1 new contraceptive drug. Currently have about 525 employees. Depending on the day, we're between $1 billion and $700 million in market cap, and listed on the NASDAQ exchange.
Play their technical pieces more efficiently.
That was a cool project to watch that grow from where it started. It was very fun to watch, so congratulations. Jennifer Jagger, I know this person very well, so I'll let you do your introduction.
You don't know me as well as you think. Just kidding. I'm Jen Jagger. I own Plum Productions. We do professional corporate video services. We don't do bar mitzvahs and weddings, I always tell people. We make commercials and marketing videos, things you see online for different companies. We have a ton of different clients, everything ranging from nonprofits to major corporations. A lot of those corporations are here in town, which is why we're headquartered here right off Kentmore Road. I started Plum Productions, it was 10 years this past October. I started it by myself because, if I'm being frank, I was working for another production company and I just thought I could do it better. And that proved to be true in some points and maybe not as true in others, but after a few years, it got to be more than I could handle. And Rob joined me in the company. He's been with me for 7 years we've been working together. And it's been going really, really great.
You were ready to start. Go ahead.
There's no segue. So
Randy Nobles, Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah, I'm Randy Nobles, CEO of Habitat for Humanity of South Palm Beach County. I'm in a second career myself for 30 plus years. I was in the finance and banking world. I was the market president for the state of Florida for Comerica Bank. So about 5 years ago, I had a little bit of I don't know what you call it, something hit me in the side of the head and said, you need to do something different. So eventually I found my way to Habitat for Humanity. So I went from running a major market for a publicly traded company with a $60 million budget and 250 employees to a nonprofit with a $5 million budget and much less employees and resources. So I've seen both sides of the coin and how to make it work. At the end of the day, it's all rooted in people, in community, and giving back and doing the right thing. So I'm happy to be here. I've been engaged with YAY since the onset as part of the Chamber and the Chamber Board originally. So good luck to all the students tonight, and glad I'm here. Thank you.
So now please, Sam Zeitz from TouchSuite. I'm used to being last. Yeah, the seat, yeah, sure. Well,
Sam Side, CEO and founder of TouchSuite. We're a fintech company that specializes in the payment processing space, which means we provide businesses with the ability to accept credit cards and the technology to facilitate it. An example of that is we did an acquisition almost 2 years ago of a company called Grubber, which is the leading company in the self-ordering kiosk space. So if you've been to a McDonald's or Panera, it's that type of technology that we sell to stadiums and arenas and QSRs and fast casual type restaurants all over the world at this point. Also of note, I have 2 children who graduated this program, and as a result of that, have both built $1 million companies. So keep working at it, and you can do very, very well with this program. They both credit their success in starting it here. Actually, my daughter, they both won the elevator pitch. It was that time when she won the elevator pitch that kind of set that momentum forward for her. So she did not win the investor panel. She did the pitch competition, whatever the last one is. So if you have passion for your business, you can take it far. So
All right, great. Next question, Jasmine, you ready?
Starting with Mr. Zeitz, what qualifications do you believe a person needs to have in order to start and lead a business?
I would say that probably two of the most important things are to have passion and purpose. Most people, if not all people in life, are looking for purpose. And if they can't find it on their own, they will latch on to someone else who has a purpose that they can identify with. So through your vision, you can create something, and if you have that purpose, other people will then follow you, and you have to have passion for that, because without passion, you're going to uncover millions of obstacles every day. And it's that passion for your business that will allow you to keep getting up each time you get knocked down.
Next person, have a question, Harlan?
This is directly for Mr. Benzie. The company website says your company is innovative. How do you make sure that your company is more innovative than others?
Well, in women's health, it's not very hard. I mean, we're competing with products that were developed in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But to your point, what we do is probably what all of you do. You look at what's out there, and you see what in our case, the standard of care is, and our goal was to change that, right? So for those of you familiar with menopause, which probably only a few people in here are, and I'm not going to point them out, because I know better, but the whole idea is to create products that make women feel better, make women enjoy that period of their lives, because, look, years ago, menopause was a short period. Now it's over half a woman's life. So the idea for us was to lower doses of hormones and still get the same effects, which hopefully better outcome, or as far as contraceptions go, enable women to have long-acting options, not have to have surgery to have it. So that was our process. Hopefully all of you are doing that. Look at your competition, see where they're weak, see where they aren't. The best business is the business with as little competition as possible, but make your products stand out in a unique way that meets a need that isn't being met, and that's what we found.
Justin.
Starting with Mr. Nobles, as the leader of your company, do you think it is necessary for the leader to know every detail of each area within the company?
The answer to that is no. What you need to have is a broad feeling and understanding of all areas of your company, and as far as being able to get in the weeds and know every detail about the company, it's just really not practical and possible. The key is as you grow, most of you are going to be single proprietor entrepreneurs to start with, is having good people that do know, the details and the skills. So as an entrepreneur, you're obviously called on to know everything and do everything, but eventually that will evolve and change.
So at it's bad feedback, sorry about that for everyone. So at our company, at Therapeutics ND, the motto is the best third grader is a 12th grader, right? So you take somebody who's done exactly what you want done and you bring them back to do it again, as close as possible in parallel. So in essence, this is a common phrase that everyone says at work. I didn't get a dog, right, as a CEO so I could bark, right? The whole idea is you get people that know a lot more than you, that have done something very close or as close as possible to what you've done, and you let them do what they do. But at the same time, you implement, hopefully, what your goals are to come up with a very collaborative relationship. But I also agree, you have to be able to get as deep as you can and learn from them so you can make sure that you're managing appropriately, but not actually doing the job.
Yeah, I agree, you can't, but what we do is we give them a guideline to follow, which is our purpose statement and then our core values. So by training people in our core values and our purpose statement, they can then use that as a baseline for everything they do. It's funny, I think the CEO of Netflix, Reed Hastings, his goal is not to make a single decision during the entire year. So the secret is empower your people, but have that culture that they can rely on making those decisions.
I would just chime in here, someone who's probably the most close to where you guys are is starting out, because I do own a small business, and I did, not even that long ago, do everything in the company, know how to do everything. I can tell you that things will organically change as you grow, and so whereas I used to write the proposals, I would be in charge of all of the gear, I did everything at every level of the company. Now, I don't do the sales, I haven't written a proposal in a long time. If I had to, I probably could. I don't even know how to pack all the gear in the car to make it all fit the Tetris thing anymore. I have someone that takes care of that. So over time, the goal will be for you to grow out of those roles.
Sounds like you're working out well,
We're gonna keep. One more day. All right, son.
This question is for Casey. How did you come up with your idea for the business, and did you ever get nervous working on your business plan in the EA class?
Well, I came up with it because I was in a marching band rehearsal one day, and I had this little piece of paper that tells you where to go on the field. It's a good sign. It's really hard to read. And I forgot it's called a dot book that normally holds it. So I just kind of stuck it between the valves of my trumpet and realized that it forced me to play with proper technique. So I was like, hey, I should do something with this. So I did. And then once I got to YEA, as I was working through my business plan, I really struggled with the financials portion of it because there was a lot that I had no idea how to do. But other than that, I wasn't really super nervous about starting it or going out and talking to people and getting them interested in this trainer or getting schools to buy them.
Ethan. This question is to all the panelists, and it is, how much do you use social media to promote your business?
Okay, so I use social media almost exclusively to promote my product. I use mainly Instagram, and I just post more stuff about instruments or band beams because, exclusives. And I'll also go to a few band director events or band competitions and set up a booth and just kind of have people really come up to it and they can sign up to get more information. There's various stuff like that, but it's mainly online and social media.
We spend most of our marketing on digital marketing. Social media obviously is a major component of that. Whether Facebook has lots of data on people, maybe some people are directing too much data, but there's a great, it's very easy to target specifically who you want, and then when you find the clients. So on Facebook, if you know who your clients are that purchase from you, you can send that back to Facebook, and they'll give you a lookalike audience, and they'll tell you other people that have the same traits as those customers, and then you can go target them because there's a higher propensity that they'll side, we use a lot with LinkedIn. But yeah, I'm always trying to keep up with my kids on what the latest new technology and the latest new social media. I just learned this week. TikTok. My son did they had to post a TikTok, and it had 6 million views in a day. I don't think he monetized it, but he got some money values.
I mean, being in the nonprofit sector, most certainly that's been a huge evolution towards social media and leveraging it not only to get the message out and to promote our brand, but to fundraise as well. And obviously, again, being with a nonprofit, the economics make much more sense in the old school. Doing a lot of print advertising and even obviously things like radio and television, which has become archaic for many businesses. So we use it extensively and continue to be more innovative around all of our digital conduits.
Cool.
Starting with Mr. Zeitz and to all other CEOs, how and what methods do you use for transactions when clients pay for your product or service?
Our business is transactions. So, I mean, obviously all credit cards, it's interesting. So I'll tell you a story, we talk about how you get ideas for businesses. We say one of our core values is problems are opportunities. So with the kiosk, one of the things it does is it helps solve the labor shortage that we have. I mean, there's 3% unemployment right now in Florida, which is extremely low. And a lot of our clients are QSRs, which are fast food restaurants and fast casual, and they can't open additional locations because they can't get the labor that they need. So the kiosk solves that labor. It takes the place of the cashier. But the issue we have is it only solves about 80%, because still at McDonald's and places like that, 20-25% of people still pay with cash. So until we were able to solve the cash issue, we couldn't completely eliminate that cashier role. And we've seen New York Times did a story because the city of New York made it illegal for restaurants to not accept cash. So businesses want to go cashless. I believe we'll be a cashless society in our lifetime, but 20% of society still doesn't have a bank account or a credit card. So to say no to those customers means you're not allowing them to come into your business. So with that backdrop, 7 months ago, we said we've got to solve that last problem. What we ended up doing is we integrated a cash recycler that's traditionally used in the back office of banks into the kiosk. So now our kiosk will also accept cash, which will solve that problem. So that is what we think when you talk about the fourth industrial revolution. We think that's at the crosshairs of that fourth industrial revolution. And it's transactions, not credit cards. So we will transact with cash, we'll transact with credit cards of all type. We'll integrate cryptocurrencies if those ever take off, student cards and universities, payroll cards, anything that you can use to identify yourself as a form of payment for transactions.
Anybody else have an answer? It's kind of covered, right? Christian.
Did any of you have a mentor or someone that walked you through your business?
Well, I did. So the 3 instructors, as well as my mentor, was Sean. I don't know his last name right now. He worked with Every Digital. So he's a good mentor.
I had a mentor who kind of coached me on like the actual production work that I did. But in terms of running a business, I kind of just learned a lot from the people I encountered at the chamber. I learned how to network. I learned how to, what to do after a one-on-one meeting and how to follow up. And so you just you might not have like a mentor throughout your whole career, but you lot of people around you to learn from if you look.
I did not have a mentor, but I would also say it's probably one of the great regrets I had, was not having a mentor, because I see how much a mentor can fast track and get you, going from point A to point B much faster. Both of my kids have had a number of mentors. However, later in life, I did join a couple of organizations that kind of played with peer mentorship. I met Seth in an organization called EO, Entrepreneur Organization. I've been very involved in YPO. So, if you don't have a mentor, you can always go find peer mentors as well.
To Casey, how do you manage your time in school, your business, and other stuff?
So, most of my time goes towards school and band, can't lie, because I have 5 rehearsals a week at this point for band, and I'm in 3 bands right now. And then all my schoolwork, I'm in all AP classes. My senior year, I'm applying to colleges, going to do auditions at various colleges as well. But I try to fit in my business whenever I can. I do it at events. I do a lot of emailing with people to plan sending them piston trainers, such as at UF where I sold one. And then I just kind of write a to-do list pretty much every single day, either on a scrap piece of paper or in my hand, whatever's closest. So just kind of random planning as much as possible, and as much balance as possible, but whatever needs to be the most important at that time, whether grades, band, or business, just kind of takes priority. It's a weekly basis.
Val, ready?
This is for Mr. Zaitz. How fast did your business grow after you started, and how did you manage it?
Business grew very fast. As it was discussed earlier, you have to wear many hats. So I had come up with, when I left a high-paying job as an attorney to start the company. And so I calculated what my break-even was, how many deals we had to sign up on a monthly basis to break even. I said, okay, I needed 20. There's 20 business days a month. So I said to myself, as long as we do one deal every day, it will at least break even. But some days you'll do better, you'll do 2 deals or 3 deals or more. So I had a rule that if I didn't do a deal, I wouldn't go home. And one day I had to stay until 11:30 to write a deal in Alaska, and once it was 12:30 in the morning to Hawaii. But every day in our company's history, we've done at least one deal. So, because when you're doing a lot of days, you'll do more. If you can't say, I did 3 today, I had a bad day the next day, so I didn't do anything, but it's okay, so averaged out. We had a rule you had to do a deal every day. And that allowed for a lot of growth. And we appeared 8 times on the Inc. 500 list for the fastest growing companies.
To the panelists that started their own business, what was the hardest part of starting it?
I'd say that the hardest, we didn't all grow as fast as Sam did, it can be really thankless at the beginning. So I think the hardest part is sticking with it. I've read that statistically or what, but the one characteristic that people that are successful at whatever they try have is called grit, which is being able to stomach the good and the bad and just keep working forward with focus. And so if you just remember that you need to have grit, whatever comes your way, you really can overcome it. You just have to stick with it hard enough.
The hardest thing I found being a minor is working with banks, because you have to be a team to legally open a bank account. And so that's been a struggle throughout the last 2 years. And they still live here. Only for new bank currently. But it's been really hard to try and figure out the whole banking aspect of it as a minor.
It's taking that risk, and that's why you look at a lot of companies like law firms. Bigger law firms will provide loans to their lawyers so they can go buy homes, because they want them to be vetted, they want them to be married, they want them to have kids, because all those things minimize the likelihood that you're going to take a risk. Starting a business is a huge risk. So, you have to be paranoid and working hard, because everyone around you is going to tell you why your business won't work. My wife thought I was crazy to leave a very, very good job to start a business that you're not going to take the salary on. So that's the hardest part.
Hardest part for me changed as the business evolved, but to start it, I would definitely agree with, believe in yourself. If you see an opportunity, go for it. Because if you don't make it the first time, you'll learn from your mistakes, and you'll immediately do it the second time. And I'll tell you, I don't know how many of my friends have sat at jobs where they had a good income, or they were kind of locked down, family situations, and wish they went out and took that risk. And we all here have taken risks, right? I mean, I don't know how she did it in high school, impressive. But nonetheless, I mean, it pays off. And as you go, the risks change, and you have to adapt. But if you like what you're doing, I mean, there's really no loser, because once you figure out every aspect, every business is different, but once you figure out what you're missing, you'll put together the next one, even if the first one fails.
Josh.
This question to all the panelists: why did you choose to work in your current industry?
Microphone, I'll go again. I've been in healthcare my whole life. So I was supposed to go to medical school. I went to the University of Miami, and when I got back, I worked for a surgical company for 9 months and figured I would go off to medical school, and I never did. So I've been in this industry forever, for maybe 25 years.
So I work in the music industry because I'm really big in music. I try to do different practicing or learn as many instruments as possible. So I started music in general in 4th grade. I started learning steel drums, and then from there I just kind of gone with it. And it's pretty much my whole life at this point. And I want to do music therapy once I go into college, go through college. So it's just kind of made sense for me to go into music, for the industry.
Speaking from somebody, again, in the nonprofit world who switched from corporate to nonprofit, to me, I think it was twofold. Number one, the challenge of doing something very different, which was immensely different, and then the sense of really doing something that from my perspective felt like I was contributing more. I've always been a very community-minded person, always very engaged with nonprofits from a board and a support perspective, and this was an opportunity to kind of meld good business skills that I had acquired over a 30-year career with that sense of community. So it was kind of a good match for me.
I had always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I figured you needed one of two things. You either needed money or you needed know-how. I had no money, so I figured I better go get some know-how. So I ended up going and getting a law degree, and after law school I ended up working at a large firm called Skadden, and they were very kind that every year you were there, they were kind enough to give you 3 years of experience. That's how many hours you work. And I was doing structured finance, which is securitizing income streams. So my idea was then to go get my own income streams, and that's what ultimately led me into the payment processing space.
When I was a kid, I was always into storytelling. I would put on plays. I was always very creative, and so I decided to study TV production. Actually, back then it was broadcasting. There was an internet, but nobody was streaming video on it yet. And I just got really lucky over time that the technology shifted and that video became such a hot thing and such a big market. And so, I feel like I really seized on the opportunity when it was becoming clear that video streaming was going to be the future of digital marketing. So that's how I came into it.
For Mr. Nobles, what was that one big motivator that helped you reach the
Just as I kind of had mentioned prior, I mean, the desire or the epiphany that I wanted to do something different and that was, more meaningful. And believe me, I love money, I love nice things, I love all of that. So, that was still important and still embedded in my thought process. So it wasn't like, oh, this guy's such a great guy, gave up a big job and went to the nonprofit world. It was, being able to do that, being able to do something meaningful. I've seen the evolution of nonprofits over, the last 30 years, and the talent and the skill of people that work in nonprofits has changed dramatically. We have, kids coming out of college today with master's degree in nonprofit administration. They want to make a career of it. 30 years ago, working in the nonprofit world was, you couldn't get a job anywhere else, or you couldn't get a job working for the government or whatever, and not to bash those, but the skill level of that's in the nonprofit world has changed dramatically. And a nonprofit needs to be run much more like a business because it is so competitive.
So, Mrs. Jager, how do you use YouTube to grow your business?
Just to give some background on that, I have a YouTube channel that is really a content marketing strategy, which means that you are creating keyword-rich content that people can search, and your informative content comes up, and it will spur some of them to reach out to you for professional services. So it's kind of a lead generator for Fun Productions. But it's also kind of borne out some other opportunities. So it's become kind of a side income stream. I just hit 10,000 subscribers last weekend, and I get ad revenue from YouTube. So they do a 55%, 45% split with their creators if you meet the criteria to monetize your channel. So whatever they sell, I get 55%, they get 45%. I get affiliate marketing from it, so if I recommend products, if people buy those products, I get a commission. It's some like brand sponsorship opportunities that emerge where people will sponsor my content, and I get like free products and stuff. So it's kind of a supplementary thing. So besides the lead generation, it's with its own little business on the side.
Maya.
This is for Mr. Nobles again. How does it make you feel to be contributing as a leader to the nonprofit world?
I mean, it feels great. Obviously it's very rewarding. I think, the thing not to lose sight of is, it is still an industry and a business that's filled with the same challenges that everybody that's running a for-profit business is with. Sam touched on the people aspect. I mean, we're at, almost a crisis situation of being able to find good people. 3% unemployment basically means everybody that wants to have a job has one. So it's really 0% unemployment. So, the struggle of finding people, obviously budgets and fundraising are critical in nonprofits. So it does, it's not all rewarding, but it does make me glow, to feel the good that you do and the impact that you have, and the fact that, housing, which is our business, that is at a crisis situation, particularly in Palm Beach County, and it's not just low-income individuals that Habitat works with, but workforce housing, employees that are working in all of our businesses can't afford to live in the markets in which their business is located. So, it feels good, but there's always that next hill to take and challenge to take on. So, good question.
This is for all the panelists. Did you ever think when you were our age that you'd be a CEO one day? And for Casey, since you are our age, is this something you've always wanted to do?
So when I was much younger, I would do the typical set at the stand on the side of the road and try to sell something. I never really sold lemonade. I was very original. I painted shells, solid colors, and sold them for $1 each. It was great. I made a ton of money through it. So up until this point, I've pretty much always wanted to own a business or start a business. I've always thought it'd be a really fun, challenging thing to do. It's not exactly what I want to do my whole life. Again, I want to be a music therapist, but it's going to be like a side thing that I'll probably always do.
My grandfather and my dad were both entrepreneurs, so it wasn't really out of the realm for me. I don't know that I ever consciously thought about it, but I think I was lucky that I had models around me to show me what entrepreneurship looked like, successful entrepreneurship looked like. I went, after college, I went to the corporate world for a few years, and I didn't really think I was going to have my own business until I turned 30, and that's when I got more serious about it.
Yeah, I answered that in a prior question, but years ago, I was a mentor for this program, and the person I was mentoring asked me what my first business was. And the business, I grew up at the time I was 14 selling electronics in a store. So I was able to leverage that to get very good pricing. So when I went to college, I started selling audio cassette tapes. And I would put up flyers around the dorm, and then people would come by and I'd call my dorm, and I would sell them the audio cassette tapes.
I don't think they know what you're talking about.
That's exactly the response I got from them. That's audio cassette tape. Ask your parents.
Anybody else? I did not expect to be CEO.
One more question from Mr. Felizio. Since you work for a women's company, do you feel that it's important for you to understand that target market?
I'm doing the best I can. Yes, it certainly does. We had a unique intersection between medicine and women's health, so I think I'm up to speed on it, but I never will fully understand. To answer your question, I wish I could. Believe it or not, early on in our trial design, before we could afford to hire people for trials, me and a couple of the other early employees would literally take estrogen and have our blood drawn. Dr. Brian Burnick's office. It all, by the way, legal, disclosed, full IMD in place with the FDA. That's as far as I've gotten, but it's about the best I can do. What was that? There's a lot of funny jokes we say inside after we tell people we did that, but I don't think it's appropriate here. I can tell you what the other people say. They say they went home and they really could sympathize with their wives after taking estrogen. I didn't have that experience either.
Nice. Any final words from anybody from the panel that you have for the students?
I do. I think at your age, what you're doing is absolutely fantastic. I think it's fantastic. What you see here is really strong people that believe in themselves. You invest in yourself and you follow what feels good to you, is your North Star, and what's fun, and it doesn't really feel like work. And believe it or not, you'll go through challenges that other people couldn't because it's the right place for you. And if you keep investing in yourself throughout your life, you can do anything you want to do. I grew up literally with nothing. I grew up in New Britain, Connecticut, and my parents were teachers, and I thought business was bad. Right? And I never thought I'd be a CEO, and here I am. And I'm sure if I pass the mic down, it'd probably be similar. So hats off to you guys. You're way ahead of where I was at your age, and really impressive. I didn't know this existed. So thanks for having me.
So my comment is, strive to be well-rounded. In the day of technology and the fast pace at which we move, it's easy to get kind of just ground into one silo and thinking that, I can just make it with this one skill. But, particularly as entrepreneurs, you gotta do everything in your business, so naturally you need to be well-rounded. One of the great lost arts that I see in the business world is soft skills, being able to interact with people, being able to get up and talk in front of people. And I know, you're all gonna do the elevator pitch here in a bit. Those skills are so very important to be something that's gonna distinguish you from others in today's environment. And, we can go through here, with this group, we've all spoke in front of a lot of people before. I still get nervous sometimes getting up in front of a group, so that's natural. And so just, don't lose sight of being well-rounded and then having good soft skills, good people skills.
It's going to be really hard as a minor or just a student in general trying to start a business, but people aren't going to take you seriously. They're going to be like, oh, this is just some kid, I'm just going to ignore them. You got to just keep trying, keep going out there, and put yourself and your business out there, and not to quote Frozen 2 or anything, but do the next right thing for your business. You got to just keep trying, keep going out there, throw out new ideas. If something's not working, try something else, and just go for it. Don't back down, just keep trying.
Yeah, I would say, take your handicaps and make them advantages. So because you're under 18, that's unique. Somebody's going to take, it's much harder for a business leader to say no to a 15-year-old than it is to a 35-year-old. So, people will want to help you simply because you're under 18. They will give you advice and they'll open doors and they'll make contacts for you that they might not for someone much older. So take your weaknesses and turn them into strengths and play to that. And finally, whether you're going to be an entrepreneur or you're going to go work for someone, follow your passion, because as long as you follow your passion, it will never truly be work.
I would just say that it's funny because we're all here giving you advice, but just know that there's an art to taking advice. A lot of people are going to try to tell you what you should do with your business or why you shouldn't do that, or maybe, and a lot of people have really good ideas. A lot of smart people are going to talk to you too. But to me, people are always telling me, oh, with the YouTube channel, you should do this, and with your business, you should do that. But at the end of the day, I always have to remember, I have to envision how I want to picture spending my days, and if taking my business in that direction or this direction isn't going to end me up there, because at the end of the day, you are living in it every day. So if you're not enjoying it, maybe someone has a great business idea for you or a great avenue you could take, but it's not the right fit for you, and it's okay to A, be open to that idea, but B, to decide for yourself what you think the right thing is. And I would also say entrepreneurship is a wild, winding road. It's a different way to go through life, but if you love it, it's the best.
All right, so this concludes the CEO roundtable. Exit the stage, and thank you very much. I really appreciate it. We're going to get ready to transition for the elevator pitches. And while we're doing that, I'm going to ask Sharice to come up here. We're going to kind of look at some photos and